Okay, first of all, wasn't Best of Everything terrific? I mean, really terrific. And I have to tell you, during the film, Diane was very moved. At the end, she was in tears and said, "I'm not sure I'll be able to speak." It touched you.
Yes, it did, actually. It's very, very strange. Even now, I feel it's like these are the real values we felt at that time. And it brought me right back to those days. You know, your grandmother teaches you the right from wrong and what you're supposed to aspire to, and you've got to be a good girl and all those things. And at this age right now, I think we've missed it. I mean, I was actually thinking that Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, who made Barbie, they must have seen this film some years ago or something, because men are, look, in the course of the only nice guy really was the doctor at the end.
At the end, yeah, one nice guy.
A real nice guy.
Yeah.
Of course, Stephen Boyd had his problems, which he was suffering through the whole movie. And finally, the two people get together, but it's really a kind of thing against men, unfortunately, which...
But it's a period piece.
It's a period piece.
It's a period piece, but it's not entirely dated. The audience didn't laugh.
No,
They didn't laugh at it.
Because
You're absorbed in it.
But Foster, at the screening of his Isaac Mizrahi, people laughed. This was 10 years ago, I think.
They laughed at it.
And I heard, I mean, it was just, we laughed at some of the lines because...
But not tonight. You didn't hear it laugh.
Not tonight, because I think we evolved, and yet there's a kind of revolution. Things kind of come back and around, and you see the values of, what marriage and fidelity and cheating and lying and all that stuff.
But there's a core.
But that's what I was trying to say.
In the philosophy of the film.
To say.
And that it's turned and become not dated anymore.
Yes.
For a while it was
because
dated.
these
And now it's
values
modern.
continue going around in our social system.
But that's fascinating. 10 years ago, people, of course, Manhattanites are cynical. You're not Manhattanites, you're not as cynical. But I wonder if there would engender laughter in Manhattan now. I don't think so.
I don't really know.
I don't think so.
I couldn't tell you because I haven't seen
Yes, no, I think the film would play. It is.
And I feel really, maybe it's just the past that I'm thinking about lately. I don't know how many people, you're of all ages here. I was just hoping there'd be many more students. I don't know if we reach, I know. I have to come back one day and talk to the UC, North Carolina.
Yes, Diane, how close were you at that age to the character you were playing? You and April very close.
Very innocent.
You were innocent.
I'm very innocent. I was telling you yesterday that my grandmother, I told Jim, and my grandmother didn't talk to me for 1 year because I actually went out with a man in my acting class who had been married and had children. He was divorced. And I went out with him, and she got wind of this in the press that somebody mentioned I'm dating this Tom Allen. And she didn't speak to me for 1 year. I was devastated. Can you imagine? My grandmother would not talk to me. And I loved my grandmother.
But did you identify?
The values of the past. My grandmother was born in Missouri, in a small town, and I got to go back and look at, and they had values and meaning that was meaningful. Relationships were meaningful.
Did you understand April? Did you understand her
relation? I understood her.
Exactly.
And I was able to play a part that I understood. I don't think this is going to have any meaning to anyone here because I'm in it and I went through it. But I mean, one of you might have had some experiences of this sort in your life, but for me, it's a very emotional evening, and the whole weekend has been emotional. But seeing this film again tonight, just hit me.
in a way that had happened before, because we've seen the film before together, but you didn't have the same reaction.
No, I just smiled and let it float up.
Yeah, but tonight it got to you.
It just got to me tonight.
Yeah. Now I want to ask you about Robert Evans.
Jeez.
Yeah. Robert Evans, as you may know, from Blaze, her love interest, became head of Paramount Pictures, and there's a lot of scandal involved with him. He may well have been implicated in a real-life murder, and he seems to me to exude something sinister and sleazy. Please assure us you are not attracted to him.
Not at all. Not at all.
Not at all. You were acting.
I was acting, but of course.
Did he stare? Did he stare at you?
It's a fallacy to think that every actress or every actor, that they all are enamored with the people they play. We are trained. Please give us some respect for that. We are trained. I was trained, as an actress to work hard and to do my job. And you meet sometimes the actor that you're going to play a love scene with the first day on the set, and you have no idea. I mean, it is a very interesting profession for actors because we're thrust into situations immediately, and you just have to look at it that way, and yet you're supposed to be very real.
How did you respond to him, Diane Baker, to Robert Evans?
You're pushing me in this.
Yes, I am. I'm pushing you.
I had no feeling whatsoever. I knew he was, I didn't know much about him because he wasn't a producer then, but he was in Jerry Wald's office, the producer of this film, all the time. He wasn't on the set. And I thought, oh, interesting. He's studying to be something else. He's just not an actor. I didn't feel that he was a true actor when I worked with him. Did my role, and I wouldn't have thought to say anything.
He's not bad in the part. He's
sleazy. I mean, he's sleazy.
Very sleazy.
And that's,
he plays that.
Yeah. And I felt like I was a begging, dumb, silly, sort of like, how could she be taken? What was she doing? This was that kind of movie you couldn't play it. If you were playing it seriously, truly seriously, I mean, it was so unreal, I probably would have stopped and said, what is wrong with you? Why are you acting like this? But you played the part, and you just did it the best you could. And John Negulescu was not that demanding. I mean, he wasn't coming in and working on character or...
He wasn't.
No.
But he was very good at setting up the scene.
He was very good at moving things forward.
The camera movement.
Very much a gentleman.
But he wasn't an actor's director.
No.
Not really.
Mark Robeson worked at that area. Mm-hmm. And other directors I worked for at television.
Now, Susie Parker, who plays Greg Adams, who was she was a world-famous model. Mm-hmm. And when she began her acting career, critics were very unkind to her.
They were unkind.
Is she bad? I don't think she's bad in the film.
And in fact, I was thinking how really good she was because she was able to play that kind of person without going overboard. I mean, the music and the action and the scenes were a little bit dramatic. Everything was dramatic.
Yeah, it's a melodrama.
It's a melodrama. The actual true meaning of melodrama.
Absolutely. Yes. But was she okay?
She's a smart lady.
Yeah.
Easy. I love working with the three of us had fun. We had fun. We laughed a lot. That time Hope was with Don Murray. And I spent time with them at their home, and we had a great time. It was fun. It was fun playing these parts and being roommates. And we giggled. We had really...
There was a rapport among the three of you?
Great rapport. And that was just the three of us most of the time.
But Susie Parker was, I think, unfairly treated. She's not bad.
No, but
she's not bad.
What other things, Foster, did she do?
She did a very bad film with Cary Grant called Kiss Them For Me. Mm-hmm. And then one or two others. And then they almost laughed her off the screen.
I think it's sad. It's just sad. But I guess we let ourselves in for it because once you get into it, you have to take the rejection as well as the good comments. I don't recall ever being made too much over as an actress. I just did my job. I was happy to work. So having reviews, they didn't really hit me at all.
But she was almost stopped in her tracks, and I think She retired.
She retired and married Brad Dillman, who is really nice guy. And I liked him a lot. And I'm not sure that he was a great actor.
No.
Not considered great.
No, it wasn't. But he was okay. Speaking of great, we all want to hear about Joan Crawford. Wasn't she good?
Does everyone want to hear about Joan Crawford? I know these two do.
But she's terrific in this part.
She's terrific. Again, melodramatic.
Yes.
I mean, the tones, very high on breath, not strong. But then I had a voice that's unbelievable, so we could speak. But yeah, and she was tough. Oh my God, that side of Joan Crawford came through in this picture. That she was very tough. She was a tough lady. Period. There wasn't a lot soft about Joan Crawford, ever.
Never.
Ever, really, except her loss of Alfred Steele. That was very interesting that these roles came after she lost Alfred Steele. So in a sense, this was kind of close to her as well.
But this is her first supporting role.
Ever?
Ever.
No kidding.
Her first supporting role. And was she nervous? And she was with three beautiful women.
I have to tell you, I didn't pay much attention to.
Did you get to know her at all?
Not on this film, no.
No?
No.
Was she hard to get to know?
I would probably say yes. Yes, I would say she would be hard to get to know.
If she was guarded or protected?
I didn't think in those terms, was she guarded or not. I look back and I'm thinking, I'm sure she was, because she just lost her husband. And I think that this meant everything to her. In fact, the word I saw there, I was invited to visit her for lunch one time in New York when I was there. And I came in and took off my shoes because she didn't have anyone to wear shoes. The furniture was all white and she had plastic over them.
Tells us a lot.
But I arrived early, as I often do when I'm invited somewhere. I just come a few minutes early. And she was answering a lot of Christmas cards. And she said, there's nobody's paying attention, something to the effect of no one's calling me anymore. Or it was almost a line that she said of being alone. And I thought, oh my God. And then people arrived for lunch. And I remember she asked me in front of the group what I was doing in New York. I said, I'm studying dance with Nina Fonaroff and Charles Conrad in the Village, and I'm staying with Melvin Douglas and Ellen, who were like my second parents since I was 8. And Melvin used to give me inside information on the actresses he worked with. I once asked Melvin who was his favorite actress he worked with, and he said Greta Garbo. And he worked with all of them. He talked about Joan and told me this is who she is, and how he handled her.
When you were cast opposite her in Straight Jacket, did you have any hesitation about doing it?
I loved working, and it was an honor to be asked. And I just said yes to a lot of things. I didn't turn down a lot of work. The work I turned down were things that Roger Corman made. I turned down a film about a piranha. And the agent kept after me to do it for money. And I said, don't you get it? It is not about the money. I could care less. I can't do this film. And then I end up doing Straight Jacket.
But Straight Jacket's a good film. And you have a good part.
Oh, yeah.
It is. Yes, it is. I have to tell a story about Straight Jacket. I presented the film at the Fort Lauderdale Film Festival, and Diane was the guest of honor. And the Fort Lauderdale audience had come to laugh at the film and at Joan Crawford and to treat it as camp. And after about 10 minutes, the laughter ceased because the audience realized that Joan Crawford was giving a serious, committed performance. It was not camp.
Foster, it was Foster Hirsch that turned my mind around to think this way. When I saw Straight Jacket later, I truly realized that Joan gave a really great performance in that film. when she had to play that character, really seducing the young boy, I couldn't believe it. I'm in the scene watching it happen, and it didn't occur to me how, but seeing it later on, and Foster brought this, watch it again, watch it, and meticulous work of being that woman. She transformed herself.
Her craftsmanship is amazing.
Brilliant. And a woman who was sad and lonely and probably quite miserable in life, because she, I don't want to say things, but I'm sure it was written about. But, she drank her vodka at the end of the day of shooting. Every time we saw dailies anywhere, I heard the tinkle of the glass in the back, and this is still like at 6 o'clock. And there was, she had her vodka every night in the screening room. And I didn't live like that. I mean, I learned to drink wine later, but, and I enjoyed it, actually. So,
but she had a core discipline too. She was very disciplined.
But she was so disciplined. So, in a sense, I want to add that I learned a lot. I learned about being on time. I learned about knowing my lines. I learned about giving yourself over, for character work. And that's why I wanted to play these roles. I played that alcoholic woman in Columbo. I was terrified to play that part. And Patrick McGowan from England directed it. And I think he was terrified I wouldn't be able to do it, because he pushed me to the extent on the set. Rob, I didn't say this to you, but he pushed me on the set thinking I wasn't going to be able to get the part to play that. And he pushed me, and at one point I turned around and tried to slap it on the set. I was so upset because he was saying things in my ear to get me to get to this character. And I was shocked that I would, and Peter Falk came running over and says, "Get it, Emmett, get him. Go out, get him," because he was there at the moment. But I was able to get that. And it was, I think, through my understanding of acting, everything taught me something. John taught me something. Max Schell taught me so many things. Alfred Hitchcock, it was difficult to work with him. I learned something.
But you did have the great honor of working with two absolute Hollywood masters, George Stevens, The Diary of Anne Frank, and Alfred Hitchcock for Marnie. Were they like each other at all? George Stevens and Alfred Hitchcock were very different.
Totally different. I don't even imagine them being in the same room with each other.
Really? Totally different.
No.
Totally different.
That wasn't George's way. I loved him. I really did. I cried every time I came in front of him. He handed me a napkin in his office once from lunch, because I'd see him and I'd start to cry.
What was it about that?
When I care about someone or people, I get very emotional. And it's hard sometimes to speak what I feel. I'm trying to get it out. And they're standing there kindly listening to me. And in one case, I started crying, and he got up from his meal and handed me his napkin, and he put his arm around me, and he said, "My girl, my Diana, you're going to be fine. Don't worry, you're great." And I mean, and his secretary was there. It wasn't anything personal or anything but other than just a kind, wonderful man.
But you wouldn't say kind, wonderful in relation to Hitchcock.
Hitchcock, he was cruel.
Not kind and wonderful.
No, he was cruel. Hitchcock was cruel. He was cruel. He kept me there to the last day because I rejected him. I couldn't, he said things to me on the set, and I knew what he was doing. And I finally said, I don't know, one day, God, memories. My father's best friend was head of transportation at Universal, Deke Smith. And he came to see me on the set to say hello, and I'm working on a scene alone in the bedroom. And Hitch, I'm all up in that green gown, and I'm Tippy's room, or I'm listening in on the phone. And Hitch looked over and saw that Deke Smith and others men were standing on the side watching the scene. And he looked in front of the crew and said, "Is that another one of your boyfriends?" I was so shocked that a grown man would say such a thing to an actress on the set. I happened to have a quarter in my pocket for the coffee shop man who came around the day, and I would get my coffee. And I flipped the coin. I don't know how I had that instinct. I flipped the coin as far as I could into the center of the bed, this huge double bed. And I said, "I'll race you for it. I'll race you for the coin." Which was from my reaction to him saying that to Deke Smith, who was the head of old man. He was like my father.
But you learned from Hitchcock.
How could I learn that from that? But I did learn to take care of myself.
But you learned a lot from Hitchcock about acting.
Foster reaches to get the truth, because the truth is I admired when I learned. I loved learning from Hitchcock because I remembered so much that he said about directing that I teach my students, and it always comes back, that I have these nuggets of things that people taught me, and I use them in the classroom.
You learned a lot from him about how to communicate without words.
Yes.
Without dialogue.
What you do when you don't have a line, and how you react to people, and how easy it is. And he would come up and move your face like this to get the right look with the camera at that window shot when I'm watching Tippy and Sean. And he did those, and I wondered why he had to go up and move your face. But he again had a meticulous need. He saw it, and he wanted that look. He wanted it, the structure of the scene. But he edited the movie and did storyboards over every scene of the movie, and he would invite us into the screening room to watch our stick figures of ourselves in every scene, and he had it on moving film.
Worked out before you went.
I went in and saw myself sitting on a horse, and I saw the next cut of the next piece that someone drew. He may have had someone sitting with him and said, "Now I want that shot, that shot, that shot. I now want close-up." And I almost, now looking back, I think, well, the picture was already made. What did he need actors to do?
That was the point. Returning to Best of Everything. How much was shot on location in New York? How much on set?
All things, no sets.
No sets.
Nothing on the set. It was all location. Everything you saw outdoors in the park was done in New York, but the sets were right on the Fox lot.
The set of the publication office, fabulous looking, isn't it?
Great?
Gorgeous sets.
And all
gorgeous
the
art.
wonderful actors you see running around, all of the secretaries were all extras and people that, some of them were under contract at the studio. And I went, oh, I know that. I remember, oh my God, all these people appearing in this film. Brett Halsey was under contract, the Eddie, and so many wonderful people that were under contract.
One of the themes of my book, which is for sale outside, and Diane is quoted in the book, and she will sign your copy.
And by the way, I don't know if you're interested even in a few more minutes, but Foster's book is quite revolutionary, because I don't think anyone has touched the demise of the studio system in any book. I haven't read it. And I'm fascinated to now read it, because I want to know what his perspective, what he got out of what I lived. And I probably learned things that I was in, but wasn't aware of thinking about.
Diane was one of the last contract players at Fox. As the system was coming apart, Diane was signed to a 7-year contract. So she lived the last years of the great 20th century Fox before I didn't exist anymore.
And Bob Osborne was the guy who I did the scene with, and Robert Osborne of GCM and I stayed friends till the end. And I want to bring up that I'm starting a post-grad program for postgraduates, not people at school, but those who have graduated and done their work. Because what I've noticed, I was 15 years at the Motion Academy of Art University. I ran 2 schools, 1,300 students approximately over 15 years. I flew up every week to teach. And I got the school, the president, and the family to build 3 sound stages. I got a theater also. So I said, you can't have an acting program, you can't have a film program unless you have sound stages for the filmmakers, unless you have a theater for the actors to work in. There's no such thing. I said, if you want to go, and I really was very strong with the president. I said, you have to have these things or don't have these schools. So they built them. They actually built them. But what disturbed me so was that the kids that graduate from film school and acting don't get the work that they have paid for. They work for 4 years, they get master's degrees even, and they end up not getting the work in the industry. And I said, there's a gap between academia and the actual work. What's this gap, and what do we do about it? Because I saw the kids came to my office and they said, we can't continue the last year. And I say, why? And they said, because the money. We can't pay my parents. So I would go begging, as Rock begs for certain things. I beg for scholarship. Can we pay for their last semester? Can we give them a free last semester because they can't graduate? So after leaving, and in 2018 I retired, I said, I've got to do something. I have to do something because I see them driving Uber, I see them driving Lyft, I see them in 5 years, some of them have been still in LA not working. And so then I try to find a way to hire them. So I bring them into the office. I had one actress who came and was on the floor going through things and cataloging, and I was so grateful. Pay them so they have some money. And then another was cleaning houses for people, cleaning houses. And I said, okay, I can't take this. So I'm putting together, and I've got funding, and I'm going to, use the funding. I'm working hard on it now, looking for a sound stage, looking for a warehouse just to get sets built. I had lunch with Nelson Coates, who's head of the Art Directors Guild, as president, and he said he'll help me find a space somewhere. He said, you got to tie up with the university, and I said, I'm not so sure, because I want graduates from all the universities.
We're here at one of the great...
Well, I don't want just the graduates from one university. I want all the kids who are serious, and we will look at their work and see what they did while they were studying, and that we will take the 30 best people, very diverse. I want good, strong diversity. I want there to be a freedom to write and do and direct everything, direction, producing, editing. And I have the best people in Hollywood, I believe, are already signing up to teach. So I want the teachers, the weekly teachers, and then I want the great ones that have no time will come and talk whenever they're free.
Isn't it great that Diane is giving back to a career that has been good for her? And wouldn't you like to have her as a teacher?
I want Foster to come and talk about his books and film.
I'll be happy to.
And Brad will come out to visit and come to talk about the business of what he's been doing, because he taught. For many years he was teaching film history. And film history is going to be a very major part of it, in honor of Robert Osborne and his years of the books that he wrote for the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science.
Rob?